Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome to my pantry. Tonight we're hanging out in the closet together. So if you're new, I have a 120-year-old home, I think it is, that we rent. And I love it. I love the quaintness of it. Rooms are small and we have no closet space. So this is my only closet on the first floor, like a hall closet. It doesn't have a lot of storage. So we turned our coat closet, vacuum cleaner, all that kind of stuff, into a pantry because I wanted to be able to use my kitchen for my everyday foods, and my, appliances are big, like Instapot and all that, so I needed space. It works for me. So, when you're looking for a stockpile solution, maybe a closet like this might just be what you need. So, I brought you along because I've had some people reach out. It's interesting, I've had a lot of new viewers, so hello to everyone. And I've had some questions come up. My YouTube is not that old. I haven't even had my second anniversary yet. And so it's kind of neat that the new people are going back to some of my original videos. And it's like anything, you learn as you grow, or you grow as you learn. Yeah, I think that's, you grow as you learn. So I'm learning things that I've done my whole married life that seem to work, no longer work, or I find a better way to do it. So some of my videos that I did in the beginning are things of how I did it. And hopefully, as I continue my channel, I grow as a person and then I can share those things with you. But I had some people mention about, I talked about storage solutions. If you have a small space, what do you do if you run out of bread? What do you do if you run out of milk? And some of my other stockpile videos seem to be picking up these days. So if you haven't checked those out, feel free to go back. I am not perfect by any long shot. I'm just Lynn, living an everyday life and learning just like you guys. But I figured if I learned something, maybe that would help you guys. So I've had a number of people say they get overwhelmed with a stockpile. Here's the thing. Anything you do in life, I think you want to be a success. I have always told my kids and my husband, my job is to make them a success. Whatever that means, I don't know. I don't know. Then that changes on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. As they grow, my job as their mom and their wife is to just push them and tell them they can do it and be their cheerleader. So I want to be your cheerleader and tell you, you can be successful with a stockpile. So we're going to have some successful, simplified stockpile solutions. What? Oh, that's a mouthful. So I've been inspired by a number of people that I watch on the regular on things that they're doing about stockpiling. And since I've had a number of people say to me, they're overwhelmed by it, they're confused by it, how do you get started by it? If you don't know how to get started, now I'm speaking to people that are on a budget, that are, truly hurting, that don't have a lot of money to work with. Now, if you have money to work with, this is for you too, because you always want to be frugal whenever you can. But for those of you that are, on a tighter side of things, my stockpile is made on the cheap. Nothing here is expensive. It's either Food Bank, Dollar Tree, Walmart, or we have a group of us that exchange food. So if I get some items, somebody gives me a bag of food, I take what I can eat and I share it. So food exchange, maybe, I don't know what you want to call that. But anyway, so here's an idea that I've been thinking about for myself. And I thought, let me share it with my friends. And the reason I'm thinking about it is when I started my channel, and like I said, I didn't start it that long ago. It's not even been 2 years, and my life has changed dramatically. When I started thinking of YouTube, I was heavily a homeschool mom, working full-time, husband on disability, and my parents were both living, and my dad was still driving, and I had other relatives coming. My older 2 kids were on the regular over at the house. We had a house full all the time. I was cooking lots and lots of food, kept food in the refrigerator. Life was just it was a different busy than it is now. Fast forward a year and a half after I've started my videos and my life has changed. in the sense that my son and daughter-in-law have moved. They used to live across the street from us. They have moved about 25 minutes away from us, so we don't see them on the regular. They're not here for food. Since the year and a half, some of the family members that we used to cook for or kind of gather things for, help out with, have moved, or things have just changed. So we're not doing that on the regular. In addition to that, my parents, my dad was driving and my mom volunteered at a thrift store, and my dad would drive her there and come over almost 5 days a week. So we were feeding him lunch every day and sending him home with some food for dinner for him and my mom, or just making breads and things. So that's since changed. My dad stopped driving a year ago, and then only about 6 weeks ago passed away. So that means neither one of my parents are at my house, and obviously my dad's not here anymore, so I'm not cooking for my dad. My mom wants very simplified things. So I went from being, and my son, who was heavily into homeschooling, is now in the last 3 years of homeschooling, which for special needs goes to 21, and it's more life skill training. So what I did for a larger family, different dynamics of how my larger family was put together, dwindled down to 3 of us in a year and a half. And it, so what I was used to changed. And now, even with that, my son being 19 is pretty set in his ways, in a good way. Like, he knows what he wants. So his meal plans are different. The foods he likes, he pretty much is set, and on a regular wants certain things. So I went from cooking about for 8 to 10 on a daily basis to me and my husband. And some of you get that. Like, that's what you've been doing all along. So for me, I have to go back to when we first got married. It was just the 2 of us. And we're a little bit older. So if you're in your 50s or older, your appetite changes. And I don't think you eat as much, or you eat differently. And certain foods bother us now that, didn't bother us before. So I'm noticing certain things that, like, lay in your stomach, or it gives you a stomach ache, or, all those kind of things. So in addition to lowering the number of people, I'm now having to rethink what we eat, because either we don't want as much or certain things bother us. So, yeah, leave a comment below if any of you are going through those, something like that, some type of change in your family dynamics, and you're not having to cook as much, or maybe you're having to cook more. Maybe you've, taken on some family members that needed to move in with you. I'd love to get some feedback and see what you guys are up to. So I was trying to think of, for myself and for you guys, family of 1, family of 2, family of just a few, not too many. That's more of what this stockpile video is going to be about. This is not for a large family, even though you could basically take this thought and double, triple it as needed. I want to enjoy my time, how I want to spend my time. And when I come home, I don't want to be in the kitchen all night. I want to quickly throw together a dinner. So I'm going to show you some emergency type quick meals you can whip out from your pantry stockpile. You come home, you don't have much time, you got to throw together a dinner, you got to feed yourself, you got to feed your family, whatever the case might be. And that's what these types of meals are. These are not your organic. These are not, certified in the sense that it has all the food groups, and it has low calories and low carbs and low sugar and yada, yada, yada. We're not talking super healthy, super organic, type of meal. We're talking food on the run. I would say these are not perfect, but they're better than going to McDonald's. These are not perfect, but they're better than getting in a restaurant and what the cost would be. So most of this stuff you can get at the Dollar Tree, and I know there's controversy on they're changing their prices, but Dollar Tree, even if they raise their prices, are still probably on some items going to be cheaper than Walmart. Doesn't matter. Go where you can afford. Be a smart shopper. I just did a video on being a smart shopper. Be a smart shopper. But the best way to be a smart shopper, number 1, is to have a stockpile. That is not food that you keep in your kitchen on the regular. This is food you keep for an emergency kind of backup food storage. You should have at least 2 weeks minimum. If you don't have that, start with 2 weeks, get it up to a month, get it up to 6 months, pending how much room you have. You might be in a, small apartment or a studio or something like that. You're living in New York, you don't have a lot of storage. You're living in the country, you might have a big farmhouse. So depending on where you live, base your stockpile and your needs on that. But ultimately, if you could, you'd want to have a year's worth of food. That's what they recommend. But here's what you do. You use the food up in your kitchen, your freezers, and all that first. Then before you hit the grocery store, you go shopping in your stockpile. And you go and you see, what do I have? And then when your stockpile starts to get lower, depending on when you have some money, that's when you start building it back up. I would recommend every time you go to the grocery store, you spend at least $1 to $5 on stockpile items. If you shop on the regular once a week, spend $1 a week. At the end of the month, you've spent $4 to $5. Hopefully that won't break your bank. If it does, buy one thing a month. Whatever you can do. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to start pulling together meals. I don't know. Have you ever done this? Open the cabinet doors, open the refrigerator and go, what am I going to make? That type of a feeling. I do it all the time. I come home from work. I'm tired. Sometimes I'm very cranky. We're on the run. We got to go out. I don't have much time. I got to throw in a load of wash, maybe do the budget, open the mail, maybe do 1 or 2 things in the house, try and vacuum, do a little dust, whatever. And I got to get dinner going. And I'm staring and I can't think. I also did a video on planning 2 weeks menu planning from your stockpile that you can hang up here on your wall. You can't see my wall, but my wall's over there. But you hang a menu up there because when emergencies come and you can't think straight, you can go to your menu and know that that menu matches some of the regular things that you have in your stockpile. So let's even simplify that more. You don't want to have to think, okay, you ready? You're with me. We all walked home from work today. We all have a headache. We're all tired. We're all cranky. We don't want to even begin to have to think about what we're going to make for dinner. But we know, because we're smart about how we organize our homes, not only are we smart shopper, we're smart organizers, that we have 5 bagged meals in our stockpile that we can grab and go. A grab and go meal. Okay. So what do you need for that? Storage bags. So you can get storage bags at the Dollar Tree. You don't have storage bags? Use your plastic bags. I know, like in our state, we still do plastic bags. When we go grocery shopping or Walmart, we get bags. I think like New York and places you can't get them, but you know what I mean. Grab bags. Grab cardboard, small boxes. Whatever you got. Cereal boxes. You can use a cereal box for this. Use some type of storage container. It's, I think, easier visually. I'm a very visual person. If I visually can see it. Now, these you could write on if you have some cooking instructions or, well, I'll explain that in a minute. So grab a bag, grab a box, grab something that you can use, okay? Even like if you have, just thinking, if you have large oatmeal containers, like this is a large one, you can see the size of that. Save these and you can even use those as a storage type container for some of your meals. So what's my grab and go meal in a bag kind of thing? Well, let's say we needed 5 days worth of food. I know next week is a huge busy schedule and I know I'm not gonna be able to think. Well, you know what? I can come in a week ahead of time and pull together simple things that I can make a meal with real quick. Or I don't have a busy week next week, but I just know that in the future, emergencies come up, situations come up. Listen, a friend is sick, a family member's sick. You can grab these bagged meals and be able to provide a meal for them. So what could we do? So the first thing I would say is you need to have your meat. Now, if you're vegetarian, you would adapt this according to what types of proteins that you use if you're vegan and so on. So I'm talking to, I would say, more of an average everyday kind of meal that most of us that are probably eating. So again, you're vegan, you're vegetarian, you have special dietary needs. You'll have to adapt this, but this will give you a baseline. So I would say start with a protein. So some canned chicken, for example. So we're going to put chicken in a bag. Now, I'm going to remind you, this is not wholesome, organic type of a meal. This is grab and go, on the run, better than fast food, better than spending the money outside. You can't think you got to throw together a meal for yourself, for your family, for you and your hubby or your spouse or, you know, your significant other or whatever the case might be, 1 or 2 kids. I would then say a starch, a grain, what else? Something along that line. You get it, right? So in this case, I have ready to serve rice. So I'm going to throw that with chicken. Chicken and rice sounds good, right? And then I have a can of green beans. So in here, let me close this up. In here, I have 1 meal right there. Grab and go. That's it. So I have a can of chicken, I have a can of green beans, and I have some rice. And let's assume I have nothing else in my house. This is all I have. Nothing. That's it. It's not the most flavorful, but it's not bad. You know what I mean? You can mix the rice in with it. You can do it as a casserole, mix it all together. Or you can do it separately on the plate or whatever. But let's say you have a few things in the house. What could you do? Well, you could make maybe like a cream chicken. Make a roux and put the chicken in it and the green beans and put that over the rice, or put that over a slice of toast and put the rice on the side. You have some fresh veggies in the refrigerator, like you have maybe 1 carrot, half an onion, you know, a couple of green onions, some mushrooms, whatever you like. You know, sometimes you have like a quarter of a tomato and you're like, what am I going to do with that? Chop it up and add it to this. If you have spices, keep spices on hand. Spices are your friend. You can go to Dollar General, has spices for $1, and Dollar Tree currently have spices for $1. So if Dollar Tree's prices go up, Dollar General has had spices for $1 forever. So maybe hop over there. Get some onion powder, garlic powder, salt and pepper. Some of your basic flavors that you would want to add, so you can doctor something like that up. So there's meal 1, okay? So we're going to do 5. So let me give you some ideas of another one. So this one, we're going to do canned roast beef. Now, it already comes, I think, in a little bit of a gravy. Yes, it comes with a gravy. I've never actually used this. I bought this at Dollar General, and it was, I think it was $3. So, you know, fully cooked. It is how many ounces? 12 ounces. Heat and serve. And they show you with mashed potatoes and string beans. But we're going to do something different. So I'm going to have canned roast beef that already has a gravy in it. But to spice that up, to flavor it up, I'm going to throw in a can of diced tomatoes. And then I have some noodles. So we're going to have roast beef with some diced tomatoes mixed and put that on top of some pasta. How does that sound? Whatever pasta you have. So there's meal number 2. Grab and go. All right. All right, let's go to meal number 3. Got our bag? All right, I'm going to start with my meat. Can of tuna. Then I'm going to have a veggie, a can of peas. And to make it kind of a comfort food, you know, some macaroni and cheese. So you cook up your macaroni and cheese. Once it's cooked up and it's all fixed up and all that good stuff, then you add your peas to it. You add your tuna to it. And you got a great meal. We've done that many times. That's a cheap meal. It's kid friendly. It's, you know, Lynn friendly. I'm like a kid. I like chicken nuggets. I like junk food. I like a burger. I like all that stuff. I'm a kid at heart. I don't like fancy food. I do like flavorful food, but something like this, you know, a grab and go, this is great. So that's meal number 3. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. Now, you can do as many as you want. You can do 2 weeks worth. If that's better for you, you could do 7 days worth. So I'm just doing 5 for today. That's what I'm going to start with. My pantry is a little, not too bad, but a little messy, a little disorganized. I've been buying some things. I have not been putting them away properly. I don't have the best layout in here, so I have to work with what I have. No complaining, just explaining. I have to work with what I have. So I need to tweak it a little bit. And I have to, I've been trying to eat out of my pantry, and we had some cereals that we had to like use up because the dates were getting either, they were past due date or on the date. So we use those up. So my bin is empty for cereal, stuff like that. So this is a good thing. I want to use up some of the things in my stockpile. So let's see what else. Now we're going to go to day 4. So I have this luncheon meat. So this is like Spam. This is from, where's this from? Dollar General. Now this does not expire until January 2025. So obviously when you're, another thing, I shouldn't say obviously, because it might not be obvious, but one good tip would be is check your dates, even on your cans, when you're bagging them. So make the bags your more current that you want to use up. So if you have things that, you know, I got to use these things up, they're starting to either get close to expiration or they're right past expiration, but they're still usable, put that stuff in your bags first. So if I have one that would expire maybe this year, I'd want to use that and obviously save this for future date. But that's my meat. So we can fry that up. We can cut this up. And I think what I'm going to do is probably slice this up and then fry it like patties. And then I got this from the Dollar Tree. We're going to go with some hash browns and add that to the side and have some sliced Spam, if you want to call it, with the hash browns. And instead of a vegetable, I think with that, we're going to go with some sliced peaches. No, what are these? Pears. I like pears. Sliced pears. So, yeah, just have a fruit instead. Just something different. Okay, that's bag 4. Now we're on our last bag. So our last bag. And on here, too, I talked about if you want to write things, maybe you want to write down here, like, maybe you want to put cinnamon on your pears or something like that, to write down the spices that you would want to use. Grab a Sharpie and write on here. Maybe if there's a certain recipe you've done with the macaroni and cheese and tuna and peas and you've added dried onions or, you know, something like that, maybe make a note of that. Okay, so for our last day, we're going to go with cheesy scallop potatoes. Ooh, yeah. So that's going to be one thing that we're going to do. Then I thought with that one, what I might do is I have a canned ham. So this was $3, and again, this was from Dollar General. So I bought that. So we're going to do canned ham and scallop potatoes. Sounds like a nice meal, right? And then another vegetable, we're going to do some asparagus. So that's a little bit of a fancier meal. Some scallop potatoes, nice canned ham, some canned asparagus. Not bad, right? So we have, that's meal 1. We have meal 2, right? We have our meal 3. We have meal 4. And now I have meal 5. So I can come to my pantry next week, a month from now, 6 months from now, whatever, and go, oh, I can't think. I got a day and a half behind me and I have a night and a half ahead of me. What am I going to make for dinner? Grab a bag and go. And there you go, a grab and go meal out of your stockpile that you don't even have to think about. Now, what are some other options, alternatives? I just have a few I want to show you real quick. Top ramen is always a go-to. Add a can of peas and add some tuna to this. You're good to go. Maybe do more of a flavored chicken so you don't have to do the spices. And you can do this type of meal, flavored chicken meal. You could, instead of the canned diced tomatoes, maybe do salsa. Again, that would have your spices in it. So if you want something flavorful, now to me, I would not use this whole jar. I maybe use half a jar, but even still, maybe use something like that. Instead of the scallop potatoes, maybe do something like instant potatoes. Instead of the other kind of pasta I used, you can use just a regular box like that. Instead of the ready-made rice, maybe a bag of rice like this. This would be great. And I thought, I don't know, I had one. Maybe I put it back, but I had, oh yes, hang on. There we go. So this is $1. This is 2 pounds of white rice at the Dollar Tree. So obviously that's going to go a lot further than just one meal. And then you can get pinto beans or any kind of beans, canned beans or dried beans, as an alternative for either a protein or a side dish. Instead of doing a pasta or a rice, maybe do beans. And then the last thing I was thinking of, and you know, there's plenty of alternatives, but even like this was a bag of split pea soup. So I could make this soup and add the Spam to it or the canned ham to it, and maybe add an extra can of carrots, and then put the ham, put this and some carrots, canned it, and make a nice soup for myself. And if you have extras in the kitchen, that you have a couple pieces of bread, you can make some toast, you know, you can do something on the side, maybe some crackers or something like that. So these are just ideas. So listen, you hit the stockpile, start getting your stockpile ready, get some bags or a box or some kind of a storage item that you can put them in, and make your grab and go bags from your stockpile for a simple, quick meal that you can do on a budget. So go where it's a good place for you to shop. Be a smart shopper. Go where you can. Throw these meals together. You will be so happy next week when you have one of those days and you get your grab and go meal and you'll say, oh, that Lynn Wilson, oh, I like that girl. She helped me out make a grab and go meal. If you're a family of one, this is a perfect idea. You don't always have to think when you come home. My mom is now a family of one. And she just said to me today, I don't know how to eat just for one. She's had kids her whole life. She's had a family her whole life. Her husband just passed away. Kids are not there. Husband's not there. What does she do? Whoop, stop, brakes on. I got to rethink. Well, maybe this is an idea, at least until you get going into a routine of what your new menu is going to look like for a family of one. Just do some grab and go bags. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you liked this video. And yeah, so we went apple picking today. I had such a great time. I went with 14 friends and we went apple and pumpkin picking on a hayride. So I'm going to include some video footage at the end of this. So sit back and enjoy the pictures. Enjoy some of that. I'd love to hear from you guys. Leave a comment below on how you can have simple stockpile solutions that will make you a success in your stockpile with a grab and go bag. Leave me a comment below. Tell me, what would you put in your bag? We'd love to hear from you. Have a great day. We'll catch you on the next video.